All right, AP Physics students, here is a quick video tutorial on how to create graphs using Excel, and I'll also show you a more efficient way to do it with Google Sheets. I had to do a little experimenting myself because, as I said in class, I don't use Google Sheets as often as I probably could because I'm just an Excel guy. So anyway, first things first, in Excel, it's actually very efficient to just highlight your data set, go to Insert, Scatter Plot, and there comes our data all popped up. Okay. Now again, we can see that this is not linearized data, so we need to go to our handy dandy chart here. So we see that we have this sort of shape here, that inversely proportional shape, so we have to graph y versus 1 over x. So remember, we can actually come in here and manipulate this ourselves. Okay, and I always like to keep everything situated with units and titles. And then we can type in a function. Okay, we don't have to do this over and over again. So if we type equals 1 divided by my x value, I hit enter. Excel does it for me. Okay, and then I click this box again. I double click this box in the right hand corner, and there we go. So now I can just right click any data point that I have in my graph. I can select data, and I want to edit series 1. So I no longer want these x values in there, my mass values. I want my 1 over mass values. So I'm going to clear out my x values bar here, and then I'm going to plug in my 1 over x, or my 1 over mass values. Okay, so now you see we have some nice linear data. Now to add a trend line in Excel, all we have to do is right click, add trend line. We see a bunch of options over here, but we have the linear. So then we just hit display equation on chart, and there we go. Okay, so now from here it's your job to determine, particularly on that assignment and throughout this year when we do our data analysis, you have to figure out what this slope means, what it's actually telling you. Now, I did fail to mention today, and I was hoping someone would catch me on this. I failed to mention chart title and axis titles. So remember, we always want to do y versus x. So my y title here is acceleration. Oops, I didn't spell it right. Okay, acceleration versus 1 over mass. Okay, and I actually really like when you include the units here too. So acceleration is meters per second, and 1 over mass is 1 divided by kilograms. Okay, so there we have our graph title. Now if we want to add in axis titles, we go up to design here, and we can add chart element. So we can go to axis titles, we go to primary horizontal, so this is our x-axis, and this is 1 over mass, and our units there are 1 over kilograms. And we can do the same thing for vertical. So you just go back up here to add chart element, axis titles, and this would be primary vertical. Okay, and you can kind of change the way that you want this. You could have it rotated. You could have it horizontal. It doesn't matter a whole lot to me as long as that axis title is there. So that is the Excel portion. The Google Sheets portion, I find that it is more efficient if you just go straight to Insert and then click Chart, so there's no data present. And then from there you can see that we need to input data. Well, our series data, that's actually our y values. And our x-axis, well, that's pretty self-explanatory, that's our x. And I found that it's more efficient, and Google Sheets reads this better when you put the y values in first. So I'm going to put in my acceleration values. And then I'm going to put in my mass values on the x. And for whatever reason, it always wants to do that. But we can change that by just going up to chart type and do our scatter plot. Now before I go any further, this is the data portion. So this is where Google Sheets is actually really nice because it separates it into data and then actual design. So before we manipulate this data, because we have to linearize this just like we did in Excel, I'm actually going to put the chart title in here first. So chart title, remember it's always Y versus X. So acceleration versus mass. Horizontal axis, for right now, oh wait, nope, we want axis title, so we can just go down here, horizontal axis title, and for right now it's just going to be mass, and that's going to be kilograms. And then vertical axis title, that's going to be acceleration. Remember, that one's not going to change. Beautiful. Now we can go back and we can manipulate this data. So I'm going to go over here into my spreadsheet, 1 divided by mass, so my units are going to be 1 divided by kilograms. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did in Excel. I'm going to type equals 1 divided by, because remember we need 1 over x, or the inverse of x. And then similarly in Excel, we can double click this box and it auto-fills that for us. Now we need to go to our data and we need to alter our x-axis. So we no longer want mass values, we want 1 over mass values. Click OK. And again, we are linearized here. Now, we're missing a portion of this graph now. We need to add that trend line. So just double click one of those points, you add trend line, and a bunch of options pop up. So then we can go down here to label, and we'll click use equation. So we have 3.3 times x, and notice, don't get freaked out by this number here. Look at this is in scientific notation. So this is saying this is 8.48 up to the -4th. So that's very, very, very small. So that pretty much means that this trend line is running right through 0. And our slope, 3.3, let's compare that to what we had in Excel. All right, very, very good, very close. So there is data, well, not data creation. This is a graph creation using computer methods. So using both Excel and Google Sheets. Again, I am more of an Excel fan myself, but the most efficient way to do this with Google Sheets is to don't highlight any of the data, insert your chart, make sure you put in your Y values first and then your X values. So I hope this helps. We will be jumping into this more throughout the week. Take care, AP Physics students.